Welcome to creating a library of reusable visual materials. Reusable visual materials could be anything that you have created before, possibly a graphic, a marketing piece, a video. It could also be components of those things, such as photographs that you may have created or purchased. This could also be fonts or other shapes and pieces that you used in creating a final piece of artwork, whether it be for visual communications, marketing, print, online, any type of use you can imagine. We want to be able to reuse all of these materials so that we can be incredibly efficient. We can be super fast when we need to create new materials, and we can also get as much of our time and money's worth from anything that we had to invest in, such as spending a lot of time to develop some new material or spending a lot of money to purchase some things, perhaps from a vendor or working with a graphics professional. So we want to make sure we can reuse these materials. And I'm going to share some things to think about as well as some technology that can help you as you are creating this. So the first and most important thing that you need to consider is how this material is going to be used. So you have to think about the people who are going to be involved, both the ones who need access to it as well as the people who are going to be interacting with it, adding, updating, or using those materials. What I recommend is that at this stage you start with a whiteboard or a pen and paper rather than going out and collecting all of your materials. Sit down and think through all of the possible reasons why you need to have a library, how it's going to be used, and what is going to be a logical organization for those people who need access to it. I do recommend that you find one place to keep all of those graphic visual files or other artifacts. This might be a cloud service that folks can access from all over the world. This might be some sort of a shared drive on a network server. This could also be on an external hard drive or on one individual's hard drive. Doesn't really matter where it is, just so long as everything is in one place and it makes sense for the people accessing it. I also recommend that you make one person the keeper or the librarian. These folks are in charge of accepting any new artifacts into the library, checking for duplicates, maintaining any documentation that might need to be updated as your technology or as your system has changed. And also, these are the people who are going to be involved with logging or otherwise tracking the artifact, understanding where it came from, who approved it to go in, and perhaps any relevant search terms that you might want to include. Then next, think through the organization that's going to make the most sense for the people interacting with this library. Some things to consider are categories that might be logical to your business, such as organizing all your materials by customer, by the year or a series of years, or if you've got large projects or campaigns, perhaps you want to organize it like that. You may also want to consider organizing by the types of content that is going into these materials. You may find when organizing things by business that you have lots of different types of files, print files, other media files, things that were destined for online versus things that were destined to be in a PowerPoint presentation that all relate to one customer. So you might have lots of different types of files that you could sub-organize into those source type files. All PowerPoint files go over here, all Word files over here, or you could organize by content. Things like all images of people at computers over here in this folder, all images that represent our risk mitigation graphics or other concepts over here. So there's lots of different ways to organize. What is going to be most effective is finding something that resonates with the people who need to interact with this material. And after you have done all that, then start thinking about the technology that you could use. Here are a couple of things that I have found and some that I have worked with. This is by no means an exhaustive list, but these are some options. The first one is Adobe Bridge. This does come with the Adobe suite of materials, and you can visually look at the images in a grid, and also the images are meta tag and searchable, which means you can apply keywords to different images and then search using those keywords. Many modern stock photography websites have these meta tags or keywords embedded into the image already. So they have saved you some of the time of adding that to every one of your images. Adobe Lightroom is another option that's similar to Bridge but geared more toward professional photographers. It's about $300. A slightly less expensive option is Photo Director. This is $100, works again similarly in that you can visually look at the images. It is also meta tag and searchable. Comes in at about $100. Down from that, on the price point side, is Pixa app, which is Mac only, and does some auto meta tagging options, such as looking at your images and then telling you this image is blue, this primarily is green, etc., that you can search on keyword. Another option to consider that is free is Picasa. It's a service run by Google. It is web-based and you can visually look at all of your images. This might be great for dispersed teams where lots of different people from all over the world need to review your materials, but it might not be as secure depending on your company's preference for that. All of these, or most of these, do offer some level of basic image editing as well, although you may need to invest in a different program if you need some more extensive image editing services. Now, the important thing is organization. The technology can only help you get so far. You need to make sure that whatever you're creating is absolutely positively logical for your company. And you may need to get other folks involved to understand how they may be interacting with the material. Thinking through who can access the library, you have to really divide that into who can see the material from the people who can edit, update, or add. That might be two different sets of people, or those might actually be four different sets of people. You have to make sure you develop a process before you even get started pulling things together, thinking how people should see and interact, especially those who perhaps can only see, and then how people can edit. Should things be duplicated before they are actually implemented in a new project, etc.? How things might get added, and what is that time scale for adding the material? At my company, we like to review about once a month. We'll do a very quick review of all of the material, particularly our stock photos, and then annually we'll do a deeper dive. We're looking to make sure that everything is relatively numbered, that we're not using photographs in a library of people on mobile phones that are the size of a big giant brick, because that's not representing technology as it exists today. But we are also making sure that anything relevant for the client, such as the most updated version of the new product, is the one that we have to be used, and we're not using accidentally an old version. The important thing to remember is that you don't need a new tool. You can just as easily create a file folder structure using whatever database works for you, whether that's cloud-based, on your own hard drive, etc. You can do this all with creating folders. The key is to make sure, again, that that organization is logical and it reflects the way that people who are actually going to be using it are actually using it. So you can buy a new tool. Those tools can help, especially things like keyword meta tagging can save some time and can make sure that you are getting the images that you want quickly. You do need to make sure that those images are meta tagged, which can take a lot of time if they have not already been automatically tagged from their previous source. If you found this information useful, you can follow me on Twitter for some more great information. You can email me questions or thoughts as you're building your own artifact library. You can also sign up for our e-zine. It comes out every other month, and we talk about everything from visual communications to business development and everything in between. Good luck in building your graphics libraries.